So, this just got here. Now, I hinted at this in one of my earlier shorts. No, do not get excited about it. This is one of those cheap Chinese chainsaws that you see all over eBay and Amazon. Well, they're even cheaper on eBay. Supposedly, this is a 58cc chainsaw. Supposedly. I highly doubt that. They're advertised as 52cc's in the same body style. I highly doubt it's actually a 58cc saw. But that's not the reason I got it. I only paid $80 for the whole thing. And I wanted to get the cheapest one there was for a reason. I have an experiment that I want to try involving chainsaws, but I don't want to do it with any of the ones that I actually put time into or actually worth something. I'd rather do it with something that's cheap, a throwaway item that I do not care about. Except, that's probably cheap soft steel, but it is a bar. And the bar is probably going to last longer than the power head. But this scarboard, I can put this on my 55, which is down there, because it's got the same length bar as this. This is a 20-inch. And I need one of these. I don't have one for that saw, so as far as I'm concerned, I bought a scab board that just happened to come with a whole nother chainsaw. Sprocket nose, roller bearing bar. Yeah, who knows why they chose that name. There's the chain. What is that? Is that a square? No, it looks like that's a semi-chisel. Semi-chisel. Full. I was expecting a skip tooth. Or a semi-skip. Oh. I already immediately see the value in this tool. So, in case you're not understanding, that's the one that came with it. And that's a regular one. Look at how much smaller that is. Now, I understand that that could be a negative in certain situations. But when I'm having to carry my own tools with me out in the brush, the smaller they are, the better. Now, this feels really lightweight, so I don't know what its durability is going to be like long term. But, if this holds up, this will probably become one of my new standard tools that I carry. Allen. I have no idea what that's for. There's 2 Allens. Oh, check that out. It even comes with a round file. This is a .325 chain, too. That is a small file. I'm not even sure that would fit the chain properly. And again, it's a cheap Chinese product, so who knows what the quality would be like. But, I've found that most of the time with these cheap tools, as long as you don't stress them too much, you'll get enough durability out of them. There is the saw itself. Now this, I actually am happy about. This is a portioning container. Now, there's 40 to 1. This is for measuring out gas and stuff. It's got the marks on it for it. Now, I'm sure I could have bought, you know, just one of these, but I actually want to use this for other experiments besides what I'm going to do with this saw. So that is another plus. And a little funnel. I don't actually have any funnels with my workbench, and I never think to go get one when I need it. It was a lot cleaner, but I'm working on that Pro Max 60 right there. It needs a rebuild. I'm rebuilding the whole thing pretty much. And so, there. I have a funnel now. The power head is, it says 58cc on the side, but again, this can be different colors, different shapes, different stickers. Who knows? The only true way to test it would be to pull the cylinder and check that way. I have never, well, I didn't even buy that still. That was the only brand new saw I've ever got, was that one. That's an MS250, and I'm not the one who bought it. I got it for Christmas from my father. Okay, my immediate thoughts on this. It's got the annoying little screw right here on the side. I mean, I don't know why they don't just invest in putting... Look, it's even got the hole for it right there. Why don't they just invest in a... I don't know. It's got a chain protector right here. But just feeling this whole thing, you know, the plastic, you can tell by feeling plastic what the durability of it is. And, you know, comparing the feel of this chain brake, this top cover, listening to it, feeling that, this is not the same plastic like that 55 is. And if I put it side by side, you know, it would look really close to that 55. But I can tell that this plastic is not the quality that that one is. It's probably an entirely different plastic. Dual port muffler. I don't know how loud it's going to be, and honestly, I don't care how loud it's going to be. I wear earplugs with these things all the time. Well, at least they have O-rings on those. That's actually metal, so the actual saw chassis right here and right here up front, that's actually metal, which is promising. I mean, that is by no means a indicator that the entire saw is of good quality, but you know, it just adds a bit for durability. The throttle lock right here, that is the cheapest feeling lock I have ever. It's like a two-piece design. I don't get that. I mean, look, you pull it out, it's got so much wiggle to it. Switch flicks. The bumper spikes, or as we call them out here on the West Coast, the cutting dogs, are small and really thin. See how those actually take any abuse at all. The bar nuts are loose, so we'll just take those off and get a look at it. Pretty standard setup. Just what it is. That's just a fairly standard. Oh, that. I've never seen that design before. I think that this chain brake is a little overly complicated. It's got a seal back in there. I do not like these types of clutches. Spring clutches, to me, should not be on a chainsaw. Weed eater, fine, but these should not be on a chainsaw. My large Echo, my CS, well, it's actually a QV, my QV 8000, which I converted to a chainsaw, it had one of these, and it always bent the springs. So I upgraded it to the CS800P, which is a different type of clutch. It's a different type of spring clutch. It's got them in the little legs. It's a much better design. So that's a really, really cheap clutch. But I actually have this clutch pulling tool, and I can already see, yeah, that's a perfect fit. So this Chinese clutch pulling tool is designed for this Chinese saw. I mean, it just fits perfectly on there. Everything meshes. The little divots on these fit perfectly in the hole. However, this does work for other things. This is what I use to do the clutch on my Echo. So, that is annoying. You know, that's an Allen. That's what one of these Allens is for. You're not going to be, realistically, carrying an Allen like this out in the brush. Out in the brush is not going to happen. I mean, you might be able to call it a 61 lookalike, but it's too small to be a 61. That feels fragile. And that's not going to stop dust. I mean, that'll stop sawdust. But that air filter, that's not cloth or fiber. That's just a mesh screen. So that's not actually going to stop dust particles. So this is not a saw that I would use during the summer. I want to get a look at the carburetor. How's this? Okay, so that comes off. Come on. There we go. Well, can't really see it because of this stupid plate, which, you know, just feeling back behind this little plate right here, I can already tell it doesn't need that. I mean, this doesn't even have the cutout for it. So why that's even there, I don't know. That can all be gone. But this is a air ducting into the carburetor, which is right back there. Which the carburetor actually looks to be similar to the type used on Husqvarna. What does that say for a brand? There's actually a name on it. Ah, I wish this stupid plate wasn't here. Then I could see it. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, yeah. Jinma. Oh, that's funny. So it's Jinma. Jinma. So maybe they're trying to be like Zama? I guess. I'm not real sure what they're trying to do there. Most likely just the standard cheap Chinese spark plug. Yeah. That might be oil. I'm tempted to say that it looks like they ran it, but it looks more like oil. just manufacturing oil. The cylinder actually looks very similar to a Husqvarna design. I've seen that same design used on a couple Husqvarna saws from the early 2000s. Yeah, that's a very similar design. I don't know what the quality of the cylinder is. I mean, we'll definitely be testing that with some of the plans I have in place. All of the gaskets, though, are sticking out everywhere. I mean, they just kind of, everywhere they are, they stick out a little bit. Now, supposedly, you're supposed to run like 23, it was either 23 or 32 to 1 mixed gas in this saw. That's what it said in the ad. Now, I don't know if they were talking about their break-in period or if that's what you're supposed to run all the time. Either way, the break-in for this saw is going to be, well, I'm going to do it a little easier, break it in, and I'm just going to try and ease the saw into work and then use it a bit to kind of get everything in there heated up, set in place before I start doing what I want to it. A big problem I've heard with these saws is the crank seal bearings. Not the crank seal bearings, just the crank seals on these. I guess that's been an issue with them. If you guys watch Chickanic, she just recently went over the Cochier saw that came into her shop, and that was the problem. And this is basically the same thing as a Cochier, just, you know, it's got its thing. It might be different, but that's the same clutch I've seen on them. That looks to be the same type of oiler. I would not doubt if the crank seal in this does the same thing. But at the same time, I don't care too much either. So, got the bar on. You know, it actually doesn't look all that bad. I did find something more about that chain drive system that I do not like. So, it does not have a separate or an independent sprocket. This is similar to a consumer grade saw where it's just the clutch drum with a spur gear on it, and then the chain sits on that. And I don't like those. One, when they start to get worn out, you have to replace the entire drum. Two, chains do not like those things. Like, they really don't like those. And then another thing I saw is, and another disadvantage to it, is that the chain, when it walks on them, you know, it'll walk side to side when it's running. So, say this is the side of the saw, this is the engine side. Well, the chain, it's running, it's going back and forth, it's gonna, you know, every now and then it'll come over, touch that. And the only thing in between that chain and the engine on that clutch drum is it's like a round nylon wear washer or whatever. I don't have much faith in that thing. So, I don't think that'll last very long. At all, I mean. And then looking at the bar outside of the package, there's little bumps all over it, and it's a laminated. Not sure how well it'll actually stand up. However, I do like the way that the chain brake actuates. It's a really smooth action, smoother than I was expecting. So, though it's cheap, and I'll have to test it, I do enjoy that. And actually, on the clutch drum itself, it's got a bunch of grooves in the drum. It's got like a bunch of separate little tiny grooves. And honestly, that's a design that I think would be beneficial to most others. It would help cooling with the actual clutch if it ever gets hot. And I think that there are many benefits to it. I've given it some initial pulls. It has some really small pull cord. That thing, I doubt that'll last. And the handle's super cheap too, so. But pulling on it, it's got compression, not as high as compression as I would have thought. You know, so I'm wondering if that's why it takes such a high fuel mix ratio, is due to that. I did find the mix ratio. It says 25 to 1. Put a Husqvarna sticker there, and from a distance, I would tell you it's a 55. It's a little bigger than a 55, but like I said, from a distance. It actually says how loud it is right here, 110. Now, I forget what the OSHA regulation is for two-stroke saws. I think it was around 97? I'll post it here on the screen, and then, because I'm probably wrong. But I am actually pleasantly surprised with most of what came in the package here. You know, I was expecting a lot less than what I got, a lot cheaper than what I got. That's not to say that you should go out and buy these saws. Do not go out and buy one of these. If you need a saw, buy something like that Poulan. I mean, even those, they're called mall saws or whatever. They're rebranded under Poulan. They're under Canadian Tire. They've been under Canadian Tire, Craftsman, Sears Craftsman. Poulans get rebranded for a lot of things. And then it's the same thing with Homelite and Ryobi. They're the same thing, but it's really all Ryobi stuff. Any of the saws that you can buy in-store in the US from a reputable store is going to be a lot better than this, because you can get parts for it. You cannot get parts for these. This saw breaks, it's over. The thing's just going to get thrown in the trash, or who knows, maybe I'll set it on fire and see what happens there. So I did end up taking all the covering off just to really examine it, really get a good look at it. And you know, this is actually, really looking at the chassis, this is no Husqvarna chassis I've ever seen. So it might not be a Husqvarna clone. I mean, it's definitely got similarities. There's no denying that. Oh, man. Look at this ignition coil. I have never seen a design quite like that one. You got your one post right here. This would be your on-off switch contact right there, just sticking way out. And then your magnetic pickups. I've never really seen a design like this. Feels cheap. That's something different. That is a big muffler, and that does not look like a 58cc cylinder. That looks like a 52cc cylinder. I wonder if there is a casting. Yeah. See that 52 right there? I believe that this is actually a 52cc. Meanwhile, and I hinted at this earlier, look what it says right there on the box. On the side, 58cc. So, they're all the same. I'm guessing they're all these 52cc saws. They're all the same one. The plastic and the colors change, but at their core, they are all the same. They're all a 52cc saw, and that's about it. Maybe there actually is a 58cc one out there. I've seen ads for a 62cc saw, but I wasn't going to get that. That was like $200, which is more than I want to spend on a saw I'm going to destroy. They've actually got heat protection on the spark plug cable. I will be getting my borescope up and running, and then take video of the inside of the cylinder, actually get a closer look at that. But if you're on eBay and you are going to make the mistake of buying one of these, which I bought this on purpose, I'm gonna say it, don't go buy one of these. I bought it knowing what I was going to get. I have a purpose for this saw. I didn't buy it because I needed a chainsaw. I bought it because I needed a cheap saw that I could destroy. If you are going to go and get one of these saws for whatever reason, if you're doing it for the same reason I am, just to mess around with a cheap saw to destroy, then just know that it is all a lie between the 58 and the 52cc. They're the same thing. So, here it is. The VEHPRO cheap Chinese chainsaw, the one I paid $80 for. It's actually doing a lot better than I thought it would. I've already ran it a little bit, but this is its second tank of gas, and it's got more power than I thought. So I'm just gonna do a bit of cleaning up right here to demonstrate the saw running. thoughts are, it does really well for what it is. I mean, for an 80cc chainsaw, not 80cc, an $80 chainsaw. Sorry if you're finding it hard to hear me. They're doing helicopter logging a couple ridges over. Yeah, I think I see the other logging spot right over here. I can see it, yep, right here. So if you look right between these trees, you can see a spot of orange. I see it moving up in there. That yarder's pulling hard. But don't go buy one of those Chinese things if you need a chainsaw. You know, just get something that will that's made in the US or has a really good supply of parts. This saw will serve very well for the upcoming videos I have. One of them is, hint hint, it's going to be bar oil as two-stroke oil. So that'll be an interesting one to see, especially finding out that this saw takes 25:1 oil mix ratio. So that's fine. I mean, I can adapt to that. That's an upcoming video. And then I also want to try putting Lucas Octane Boost in some two-stroke mix gas and see how that runs in a chainsaw. It says on the bottle not for two strokes, but I don't really care if that thing breaks or not. It's $80. So thanks for watching. Until next time.
Tonight